Sean, thank you so much for joining the Growth Now movement, man.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Beyond excited to sit down with you and have a chat and dive a little bit into your story and really kind of get into the things that you're doing now in your life as a motivational speaker and a therapist and you really travel the world and you spread this message of joy and hope and overcoming adversity and I can't wait to share that with my audience. But for those of the people who don't know you, I mean, I'm sure most of my listeners do at this point, but for those that don't, why don't we get into a little bit about your story?
So what do you want to know?
Yeah, so obviously you were born with a brittle bone disorder, and I don't want to I
Correct.
don't want to mispronounce the actual name.
Osteogenesis imperfecta.
There you go. So you were born with that disorder, and the doctor said you had one day to live, and now you are in your 30s and you're thriving and living a great life. How does that even come to be? Like how can this group of doctors say one day and then all of a sudden in your 30s and you're killing it?
A lot of pain, a lot of tears, a lot of gripped frustration, a lot of meditation, a lot of prayer, a lot of exercising, a lot of yoga, a lot of breathing, a lot of mistakes, a lot of confused moments, a lot of broken heart, a lot of rage, a lot of wanting to quit, a lot of wanting to question if I'm a fraud and do I really believe what I teach, a lot of making decisions thinking that you're doing the right thing and then you end up feeling like you painted yourself in the corner only to find out later it was exactly the way it has to happen. Um, I've committed my life to a purpose that is much bigger than me. If you only live for yourself, you will not have enough strength to do something massive.
Yeah.
You can't you can't live for something massive and not have an endless supply of energy. I get out of bed every morning at 5 a.m. like somebody shot me up with caffeine because I know it's go time. I am always behind schedule, always. And yet I'm always exactly where I need to be. It comes down to surrounding yourself with phenomenal people. You know, I've got two of my employees here with me now, and there's no way I could be doing any of the things that I do without them. I have a team of, we're a small team of about 4 or 5 people, and we move mountains. Our attitude is if somebody says no to you, you're talking to the wrong person, and that rules are for people without charisma. And we just have a lot of core beliefs that we focus on and just go after life. And we play so big. My motto is play big. The only thing small about me is my size.
No, and I love all of what you said and it's so true. When you talk about, you ask yourself, am I this fraud? Am I really living or practicing what I'm preaching? Because you literally go around the world, and I think it is you want to rid the world of insecurity, correct? So that's your mission, and that's really your goal. And I think that's an amazing goal because even some of the most confident people in the world are living with insecurity, and they almost hide behind this shield of confidence and arrogance and whatever way you want to paint it. So when you're in those moments of am I actually living it, how do you almost snap out of it and say, hey, I'm changing the world with my message? Like, what's your snap out of my self-defeating fate?
So I have a couple thoughts.
Sure.
One is sometimes I don't snap out of it quickly. I'm kind of the new generation of motivators, and that is I'm painfully bluntly honest about my own faults. And sometimes I get trapped in my own self-pity. And the difference between me and most people, though, is I won't stay there long because it doesn't give me anything that I want. Self-pity never made me money,
Right.
Never got me laid, never filled my tummy, never put food on my table. Self-pity never got me anywhere. So the quicker I can get out of it, the better. So what is my snap-out moves? Well, I'm going to teach you a 3-part process, and this is going to probably cause you to have a dozen more questions. But there are 3 things. We're actually putting in the great room here, we're going to put on the rafters banners that say these three stages, these three things that are a part of a system to being unstoppable. Would you like to know them?
Absolutely.
Okay. Number 1 is self-care. The cure to insecurity is self-care. When you have a very clear set of self-care rituals and you ritualize them, you're unstoppable. Second thing is life purpose, and a compelling life purpose. Something that gets you out of your bed. Something that pulls you. Like, I am going through all kinds of stuff in my life right now that is very heavy, very intense. And the only reason why I'm having the sanity to be here focused with you and caring about this interview right now is because of my purpose. Because my life goes on pause for you. Because purpose, there is no greater thing than my purpose. My wife Mindy and I, I have 4 wives. We'll get to that later. But my wife Mindy, I just told her this morning that nothing is more important than my purpose. I would leave her for my purpose, and she said I would want you to. You know, they like when you surround yourself with the right people, they realize that nothing is going to stop you on your purpose. I don't model my business around business people. I model them around world leaders. I model my business around Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi. I'm playing a much bigger game than how do we increase profit and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm here to rid the world of insecurity, and the only thing that's going to stop me is death. That's the only thing. And if I do it right, hopefully the trajectory of my own work will long outlive my body.
Absolutely. So you have...
Third one.
Yep, so you said self-care, and then you said life purpose, and then there's a third one as well.
Third one is you must have an empowering environment at all times. So I used to live in Chicago, hated the weather, needed to get out of there. I used to have business partners that I didn't want to work with anymore. I had to leave them. I used to have friends that were holding me back, had to cut them out. If you have one person in your life that is negative and bringing garbage into your world, that's one too many. Even if they're family. You cannot afford to have low vibrations of people. And it's not to say you have to cut your family out, but you surely need to maybe limit your time with them.
Sure.
And sometimes maybe you do need to cut them out. But you have to figure out, like, do I want to make it, or do I just want to always talk about how I wish I could have made it?
Yeah, completely. And it's funny. So, part of my story is I actually cut my father out of my life for 7.5 years. Since then, we've reconnected and created an amazing bond, stronger than ever before. But it was about, he was hurting me. I mean, he was making me not happy just because of his attitude and who he was as a person at the time. And he's made massive progress, obviously, and so have I as a human being. But it is true, like if somebody's not serving you, no matter how painful, breaking that off, you have to be able to take that step. So I guess to my listeners, like, how
I have a question. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm cutting people out of my life they're very close to me. And how did you know when it was time to return to them?
It's a great question. I was expecting him to come to a realization in his life. He always had he could always reach out to me. He could always call. Doesn't mean I'm going to answer, but he could always call, leave a voicemail, or shoot me an email. Texting wasn't all that great back then, so it was a voicemail or email. And he finally reached out one day and said, "Hey, I want to talk." And so I sat down with him and I talked with him, and he said the right thing. And that was, "Hey, I didn't realize the pain that I was causing you. I was so self-driven." And so when he came to that realization, I gave him a chance. Now, was it like day one, like jump right in? Absolutely not. It took time. But it was certainly he came to the realization, and then he had to prove to me that he was living that realization.
Good. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens in my life.
Yeah, and I wish you the best with that. And it's not easy. And I think that you going through it, maybe you can give some advice here. How do you make that decision? Because it is hard. Like, you can see the pain now. So it is hard to do it. But how do you make that decision and move forward with that?
Yeah, so I cut my mother, father, and sister out of my life right now. And it's messy. And, the way I'm looking at it is I went back and forth for years just getting frustrated and drained. And then finally it came to a head, and I was like, you know what? I'm not in alignment with how they see the world. And I can't line up energetically with anything that is less than my vibration. And it's not like I'm better than them. It's just I have a set of energetic expectations to do what I need to do. And in the world of transformation and impact, your state of mind is everything. And if you're frazzled or you're scared or you're lonely or you're confused and you're curled up in the fetal position like, I hate my life, everything's going to fall apart, you're completely fucked.
Yeah.
It's just like your life doesn't, your mission comes to a halt when you come to a halt.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and it's spot on. And I've been there too, and I've allowed ex-girlfriends and people to hold me back from living that purpose. And I think it all comes down to, like you were saying, like you just have to continue to live your purpose, and you can't allow the things or the people around you to drag you down. And it is a hard decision, but you have to realize that, hey, Sean's here for a purpose. He's here to change the world, and if people around you, even if they're loved ones, are taking you down, you're here for one reason, and that's to change the world. And so
I don't know how long I get here.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends, I just found out yesterday, passed away, and he had my same disability, not much different in age, and he's like, there may be only one person I know left with my disability that hasn't died, and so like looking around and being like, holy crap, the people that look like me, sound like me, are shaped like me, they're dying, and it's not to say I'm next, but it's to show me, like, life is precious. You can't sit around worried about what other people think. Let me put this way. Humans waste so much energy on worrying about what other people are thinking. And first of all, other people don't know what they're thinking. Mm-hmm. So to worry about their thoughts are stupid because their thoughts are under question too. So you just gotta care about what do you believe. Because a belief is just a thought you keep having. It's just a thought you keep making real and proving. And your thoughts don't matter. You have 40,000 thoughts in a day. It doesn't matter. But your beliefs, what do you believe about yourself, about your worth, about your health, about your money earning potential, about your overall importance on this planet? What do you believe? Because those beliefs are guiding you. And most people don't even sit around thinking of their beliefs. They just aimlessly wander, dealing with their emotions dictating their experience. Mm. If you aren't ahead of your emotions, you are your emotions' slaves. Wow.
That's deep. And again, I keep saying this, but you're absolutely right. And I mean, that's really the mindset you need to be in, And so my next question for you is, what's your biggest fear? And how does that, what role does that play in your life? I shouldn't say how does that drive you, but what role does that play?
Sure. My biggest fear is abandonment. Mm. That the people I love most, that I've taken care of, are going to not want to take care of me anymore. And beyond that, the bigger fear is that someday I get left in a situation that I'm physically trapped and I can't get out, and I have to sit with my last thoughts of why did I get myself into this. Totally have that fear. And I'm working through it because it's just recently come up as I cut people out of my life, because it's bringing up like childhood traumas. I was stuck in a car once that was hot. It was a summer in Chicago, and it was probably only a few moments, but as a kid without a cell phone, I was strapped in a car seat, and the phone rang. I think my family went back in. And it's not that I was going to cook to death. It's that my fear was that they had injured themselves and that no one knew that I was in the car. Mm. And my brain went running with that how I got panicked. I was screaming. I was sweating. I was losing my voice. I was so hoarse. And it was all in my mind. I mean, fear is all in the mind. And so, but definitely I fear abandonment. And that's today. Talk to me tomorrow, I might be like, shit, abandonment doesn't bother me at all. Yeah. But our fears change as we change. I don't believe that fears ever go away. Anybody that tells you that they don't have fears is lying, because they're playing such a small, boring game. I fear that my overhead's gonna tip over my company someday. That's every entrepreneur's fear.
Right.
My fear is that I say something that I don't mean out of anger, and I cause an impact that has a cascading negative consequence. I mean, but if I go looking for fears, I find them. They're there. So that's why I really try not to.
Yeah, totally. And I love that. And like you have to refocus your energy instead of saying, well, this is what I'm afraid of. Just how do I overcome that, right? So it's funny that you say abandonment, because that's actually one of my fears as well. So I wholly relate on that side of it. As far as loved ones leaving me for whatever reason, obviously I can't relate so much on the other side, but just the abandonment part, and to say, like, I've given so much, why do you leave? And that's a real fear. And I think that the one way I'm overcoming that now for myself is that I'm giving 100% no matter what, and I know my worth. And if you want to leave, then that's you. That's not me.
Right. And I look at it this way also. You got to develop an incredible relationship with yourself. You got to learn to trust yourself. And you can't trust yourself unless you take great care of yourself. Think about it this way. If you were incapacitated, you were in a wheelchair, and you needed help going to the bathroom, you needed help being fed, everything, and you had a nurse that took care of all those things, and that nurse was very inconsistent and rude and mean and oftentimes not around at all, would you trust that nurse?
No. Nope.
But what if that nurse took impeccable care of you, anticipated your needs, was totally on it, and never made you feel disabled? Would you trust that nurse?
Absolutely.
So that nurse lives inside of you. Both of those nurses. And whatever nurse you have on the clock is whether or not you trust yourself.
That's incredible. That's an incredible, concept. And it's funny because you talk about, being in a wheelchair. So when I was younger, I broke both my hips. So I had that, I needed somebody to help me go to the bathroom. I needed somebody to help me take a shower. I needed all those things at a young age. And
humbling.
It's beyond humbling. It was like right around the time of going through puberty. Like, the last thing I wanted, these women that I don't know helping me sit down on a toilet and so on and so forth. It's totally humbling. But at the same time, you do build that trust with the good nurses versus the bad nurses, and I saw both.
Oh yeah. Here, let's get down to it. We are all messed up, and we are all perfect, and we're all perfect. Like, if you go looking for problems in a human being, you will find them. If you go looking for strengths in a human being, you will find them. It's really, what are you looking for? Like, I look for strengths. And sometimes that gets me in a little bit of trouble because I sometimes will overlook somebody's weakness. But man, as I've gotten stronger, I'm like, nah, I got to look at all sides.
And how important is that self-love, do you think, to stop looking at other people's faults?
Well, when you take good care of yourself, then you trust yourself. When you trust yourself, then you start to love yourself. When you love yourself, you realize that all the faults that piss you off about others, they're only imperfections that are irritating you, meaning there's still things inside of you to heal. Because, FYI, follow your irritations. If somebody outside of you irritates you, it's because they are either a projection of something that you're doing or an envy of something you wish you had the balls to do and don't. And so anytime something irritates me, I get to work. I get out my notepad, I get my pen out, and I just go to town. I'm like, where am I here? Where am I here? And when you go into that introspective mode, I personally journal about 3 pages a day. It keeps my sanity. When I miss a journal day, the people around me, they know I'm going to be a mess that day. So remember I told you I have 4 wives? Did we talk about that?
We did not.
Oh, well, I got 4 wives. And there's no way I could be successful without these 4 wives. One is the boss wife that I have a ring on, okay? One is my work wife that handles all my scheduling. One is my travel wife, and that person goes with me everywhere. And one is my housewife, and she makes sure that I'm being fed because I have all kinds of dietary issues because I lost my last chewing surface. So now all my food has to be liquefied. There's no way I could do what I do on this planet without these 4 wives.
That's amazing. And like you said, you surround yourself with a team that are there to empower you instead of tear you down, and they understand your purpose, and they understand that, part of what they are doing is making sure that your purpose is being delivered, and that's huge. And to have that team is incredible. So,
Yeah.
you look at your life now, and you've done some amazing things. You've spoken around the world. You've reached maybe hundreds of millions of people on the internet. Actually, the first thing I saw of yours was when you lost your voice and you were doing the sticky notes. That was the first thing I ever saw of yours.
That video went to 70 million views, but then if you counted the download and re-uploads, about 250 million.
Amazing. Absolutely incredible.
But I'm not bragging about it that at all.
I would be bragging about it, just letting you know. Like, I get it.
Got it.
It's incredible. So some people would say that's success. So you've found success. So my question to you is, what's your definition of success? And then what are the 3 things you make sure you do every single day to ensure you're going to reach that success?
Well, I don't do anything 3 times, the same 3 things every day. But my definition of success, I'm going to steal it from one of my mentors, and that is fulfillment. When I'm doing things that are fulfilling, which is making an impact in other people's lives. Because, look, I have wonderful stuff. I have beautiful homes. I have a beautiful car. I have just an intelligent, bright, powerful set of team around me. I have incredible friends. I have over 40 friends that are like drop anything if I called them kind of friends. And I'm proud of all those things. But at the end of the day, my success is that I get up out of bed at 5 a.m., my butt hits my wheelchair, and I get going on a purpose to rid this world of insecurity. And the biggest thing that I have to do to rid the world of insecurity is to rid it from myself. So I go to town on my journal. I go to town on my audio programs, listening, reading books. Like, I start with me. Oxygen mask goes on Sean first, then the human race.
And I love that because, they always say, like, what the flight attendants, they say, do you put your mask on first or somebody else's? And they said, put yours on first. And I always say you got to take care of yourself, because if you have an empty cup, you're not filling anybody else's cup. So you need to make sure that you're taken care of and that you have everything that you possibly need so you can give the world what it deserves. And you're certainly doing that. So I honor you for that, which is incredible.
My pleasure.
So I'm actually currently writing a book, which is going to be titled like the podcast, called The Growth Now Movement. And it's really going to be the 10 key focuses in life to attain happiness. So my question for you is, what's your secret to happiness?
Hanging out with people that make me laugh my ass off.
Nice.
Keeping everything into perspective that you're going to die. In fact, I like the Buddhist mentality. We're already dead. We're just heading in that direction. That's it. I think happiness. I don't think happiness is a state of mind that you just slip into, personally. I think happiness is also accompanied by actions. I feel happy when I'm playing a hard game of NBA 2K on PS4 with my brothers, I feel happy when I look into my wife's eyes when we're kissing. Well, that's weird, not kissing, but like, because we keep our eyes closed for that. But when my lips touch her lips, I feel that happiness. When I sit out in my pool and listen to my fountain. When I have to do things to start that process. But sometimes it's even as simple as I like to give out 10 compliments a day that are genuine. So I go at 5 a.m., I get my journal, I hop in my motorized chair, I drive to the local coffee shop, and I sit in the coffee shop, and as pedestrians, complete strangers come in, I look for genuine ways to compliment them. And if I give 10 compliments a day, man, I am on fire. I feel good. And they're not cheesy, like, hey, nice hair. No. It's like I look for something about them. And I don't just do it at the coffee shop. I do it through the rest of the day. I look for things to compliment people on. Because I've never seen somebody reject a compliment that wasn't a little crazy. Like, I mean, if you're at all somewhat stable, you're going to be like, wow, thank you.
Sure. No, absolutely. I love that. So who inspires you? Who motivates you? As somebody who's a world-renowned motivator, it's always fun to say, well, who motivates you?
Well, it depends on the category, really. I have spiritual motivators. I have physical motivators. I have financial motivators. I have relationship motivators. It's so broad of a question that I don't want to do it disservice by just throwing out a blanket. But I'm very much motivated by my friends. My friends are my chosen family. These people are incredible, and they lift me up. They kick me in the ass when I need it. They tell me when my head's too big, and they're right. They tell me when I need to give myself a little more credit. So my friends motivate me. I'm very motivated by people who play a big game, like Elon Musk, and I'm motivated by teachers like the late Wayne Dyer. I'm motivated by the work of Byron Katie and Tony Robbins, and I'm motivated by my NLP hypnosis instructors. I'm motivated by the books in my library. I try to surround myself only with things that motivate me. If something doesn't motivate me, it's not got a place in my life.
Sure. So what made you get into all of this? Like, I think self-development becomes a discovery for somebody. So somebody handed me a book called what was it? Where's My Cheese? Right? I don't know if you've ever read that book.
Who Moved My Cheese?
Who Moved My Cheese? There you go. So somebody handed me that book. I don't even know why it blanked on me. So somebody handed me Who Moved My Cheese, and that's what kind of led me down the path of this self-development, improving yourself on all levels, and it's because I was going through a lot of change in my life at the time. So what was your big aha moment of being like, wow, this is kind of where I belong?
Again, so many to count. I've had them in health, I've had them in wealth, I've had them in relationships, I've had them in intellect and spirituality, so many different areas where moments have happened. The thing that really kind of got me really going was when I took the stage with the Dalai Lama, and I thought, holy shit, I'm not joking around anymore. I actually am doing something with my life.
Yeah.
And like there are these pivotal moments, when I bought my first dream car, and some are what sounds maybe superficial, and some are very deep. When a young lady rolled her sleeves up and showed me her arms, and they were cut from practically fingertip to elbow, and she had been a cutter, and I had never heard of cutting. This was years ago, and she said, "Why do I do this to myself?" And I got sick to my stomach because I thought, who the hell would do that to themselves? What's going on? And I looked her in the eye, and I was honest, and I said, "Sweetie, I don't know, but I'm going to go find out." And I went back to school and became a doctor in clinical hypnosis because I wanted to study the unconscious mind. Why would a human being harm themselves? So it was pivotal when she rolled her sleeves up. It was a pivotal, inspiring moment when I asked my wife to marry me, because Mindy, if I had to pick one person, Mindy has motivated me to go after my dreams more than any other human being alive. And that's why I married her, because she gets me on a cellular level, like a deep soul level. And if you meet Mindy, you'll see she's not my fan. I wish she was some days. But she's not going to be sitting there like with pom-poms going, "Go team." That's not who she is. She's usually like, I walk off stage and let's say I just won an Academy Award, and she'd be like, "Did you do the dishes?" And I'd be like, "I just won an Academy Award." She'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, I know, but did you take that trash out?" You know what I mean? Those are two things I don't do, but I'm giving you examples, right? Did you pay the credit card statement or whatever, right?
Right.
And she also doesn't settle for anything from me that's not my greatest good. She has such high standards for me. I really believe that a wife is like a powerful babysitter that you could sleep with. Like, us men, we need these badasses to whip us in shape. At least I did. When I met Mindy when I was 30, I didn't know what I wanted. Now I'm about to turn 40, and I can't imagine my life in the past without her.
That's incredible. You know, it's beyond important. I also need that woman to whip me into shape. I hope I found her. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the future holds. But you know, that's totally on point. So what's next for Sean?
Oh gosh. So I carry with me a black envelope, leather black envelope, with a yellow legal pad. And this bad boy has the secrets to my life and all the projects that I don't tell people about until they have enough traction that they're gonna withstand the doubters and the haters. Because it's so easy to tell people your dreams and then get chewed out by people you respect and look up to. Maybe not necessarily respect, but that you thought you could look up to and respect. And then you're like, oh, I guess I'm not good enough for this. So like, I usually don't tell people shit until it's already in process, but I'm feeling pretty cocky today. So I'm just going to say what's really next for me is within the next 5 years, I will be transitioned out of the personal growth world. I'll still have some foot in there forever, and into the entertainment world. I have movies and television shows that infuse my message so that the mainstream masses can access it. And I found that, I've reached a lot of people through motivational speaking and videos, but it's time to take my skill sets into entertainment.
That's awesome. I love it, man, and I wish you the best on that journey, obviously. So we'll wrap up with this question, then we'll get into the 5 rapid fire questions. But this last question is, if you were put into a room of 100 to 1,000 people, and you knew every single one of them had self-doubt, and you only had 2 minutes to give them exactly what they needed, how would you break that down?
I'd use the leverage point of irritation and not motivation. I want them to fight me for why they could do it. So I'd start to try to maybe agree with their doubts and be just absurd. Be like, you're right, you totally suck. You absolutely suck, you'll never make it. This is not, and see if that angle could get them to rise up and be like, screw you, I'm totally gonna do this. Because humans have a way of doing that. That would be one approach, but if it didn't work, I'd have to shift to a new approach. The new approach would be like, pull out examples in their past, asking good questions, pull out examples from their past of when they actually were on fire and what were they doing around that time, and help extract their self-care list. And lastly, I'd prod them until I figured out, like, if they had a magical wand, what would they be doing if everything lined up, and give them such a compelling future that they needed to stop their belly aching and get shit done.
I love it, man. I love it. So obviously we're going to get into the 5 rapid fire questions, but before we get there, is there anything else you want to add? And then also, how do people find you online? How do they connect with you? All that fun stuff.
Just type my name, Sean Stephenson, into Google, see what you come up with. A lot of stuff on Facebook. That's our biggest following. SeanStephenson.com would be a good way. And what else would I say? I would say that it's already happened. Your life has already happened. Enjoy watching the show. Stop being so obsessed with worrying about what's the right way and the wrong way to do it. It's already done. Trust the process. You can't do it wrong. Even if your family, your friends, your teachers tell you you can do it wrong, I'm here to tell you, you can only do the way you do it, and then let the chips fall where they may.
I love that, man. So we get into the 5 rapid fire questions. Some are fun, some are serious, but I ask you this. Answer with only one word or at the most one sentence. Are you ready? All right, so the first one is, what's the most embarrassing song you have downloaded on your phone?
Oops, I did it again.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. If you could be a different person for one day, who would you be?
Will Smith.
Why is that?
He's just a badass.
He is a badass. And he's from Philly, and I live near Philly, so I'll take it. If you could sit down and have dinner with anybody, living or dead, who would it be?
Will Smith.
That's a good answer. At the end of your life, if all your YouTube videos, all your motivational speeches, everything you've done is off the world, if you could be remembered for only one sentence, what would it be?
He really did love us all.
That's deep. I really like that answer. And obviously this podcast is called the Growth Now Movement, so we wrap up every single podcast with this one question, and that is, in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
Cutting my family out.
Sean, thank you so much for your time, man, and I wish you so much luck and love in the next phase of your life, and just thank you for everything that you've done and the love that you're spreading and the change that you're making in the world. It's really needed, and you're doing it, man. It's awesome.
Thank you. Love you, brother. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.